Let's practice using the online Telpas assessment that we can use for like practice. Your teachers will give you the link or the tiny URL to log on. So when you get to this website here or this page, you're going to continue as guest, okay, because this is just practice. So you click on guest. Again, this is just a guest you're practicing. And then you can select the grade that you are working on, okay? So for practice purposes, I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th. I like to just go in the middle, so I'm going to go to 7th grade. We are going to practice using the Telpas release test. So you click on practice release. I'm going to use the latest and greatest, 2025. Notice there is, when you get a chance, I recommend take time. I'm not saying do the whole test, the whole reading and writing Telpas test and the whole listening and speaking, but do a few, I don't know, maybe 6 questions on one and 6 on the other. Practice, get used to it. But today, for our training, we're going to use listening and speaking. So let's click on listening and speaking. I'm going to keep this all the way it is. Then it's going to ask to make sure that my microphone is on. So I click on the microphone. And then I need to, once I see like the little stop sign, I need to just start saying things. I'm going to record. Some of y'all on the left-hand corner of your screen is going to ask, do I let the microphone, do I give it permission? Put always allow on this website. So mine has already done it. Once you've done it once, it won't ask you again. So make sure you give it permission. Okay, once you've recorded, you hit stop. Then it's going to ask you to listen. Sorry for the playback. And then I need to, once I see the playback, I need to just so you just listen. Sorry for the playback. But I heard my recording. I'm going to, yes, I heard my recording. Then it's going to ask you here, check, can you hear like anything being played to you? So you're going to click it. I heard it, so I heard the sound. We're moving on. So it says I can begin my test now. So today we're going to be covering tools. We're going to be talking about the tools that you will be seeing in this kind of testing environment. These tools are used that we're going to be talking about today are for Telpas. It kind of looks the same for STAR, but there are some tools for STAR and some for Telpas. Today's video is for Telpas. So we're going to look at my screen. I'm going to go over the tools, and then I'm also going to be going over some tips or strategies that will help you for listening and speaking questions. All right, let's get started. So on the far left-hand corner, you're going to notice here, it's going to show you a little box that says items. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger because it is small. Yeah, here we go. All right, so right here where it says items, if you click on it, it's going to give you like a progress, okay, of how many questions you've been working on. It's going to tell you all the questions that you have answered or not answered. Notice here on the key, it says that the symbol, like a red triangle or orange triangle, means that you have not answered the question. This is important because when you're done with the test, before you're done with the test, it's important that you check this item box, that all of your questions are no triangles. Do not have a triangle. That means you've answered all the questions, and then you can hit submit. This progress bar here, as we're doing the questions, going to be telling you how far you're going on the test, okay? So that's what that is for. We're going to come back to it as we try part of the test. You see here there's a back button and a button that will go next, forward, and there's also a save button. After you answer each question, after you picked an answer, go ahead and hit save. It's important to save your answers. Okay, then to the right-hand corner, let's look at these tools. You have a notepad. A notepad is a place where you can type any kind of information, details, anything that you want to remember or just practice. You can type it here. Type your notes here. It is very important, like it tells us right here, it is important that before you move on, don't just type and then hit X. you could lose the information. It's important that you hit save and close. So if you're that type of person who likes to type all your information, this is the place you could do it. Make sure to hit save and close. Another place, if you're a person, you know what, I don't want to use the notepad. I want paper and pencil. You can raise your hand, ask the teacher for paper and a pencil, and they will give you that to you. The next part is a line reader. When we click on this, notice it will like kind of highlight that whole line for you, so your eyes stay visible on that one line. This tool is actually really cool to use when you're doing the long reading passages and you only want to concentrate on one line at a time. That's what the line reader is for. If you don't need it, you just click off of it and it goes away. If you want to zoom in and zoom out, that means make everything bigger or smaller. These are the tools that you would use. So there goes one for bigger. There's another place, and then zoom out. This settings tool we have here, if you click on it, there's another place for you to zoom in and zoom out. Also another place that I would not use as a toy, not for you to play around and waste time, but you can change background colors. You can change the colors. You can change the colors and the font. Like myself, I like to go for the background to be black and the letters to be white. And you can also change your mouse. You can change the color of the mouse, and then it will do this. Or, let me move my, I'm going to just reset it. You do not have to do that. It is there for you. Just do not play around and waste time and like, oh, let me play with it and see the different colors. Pick one and move on. Okay, so that's those system settings. To the top right corner above the settings wheel, you see a question mark. That question mark is there to help you. Let's maximize it. It has any kind of information that you want to know about tools. It has the tools, it has the labels, what they're called, and then it gives you directions on the side, like how to use the tools. Now, these are the tools that we're going through right now, but if you notice on this toolbar here, it says something like a calculator. This is the same system that they use for STAR. So for Telpas, we are not going to see a calculator. We are not going to see a reference guide or a ruler. That's for another type of test. For Telpas, the tools that we're going to be talking about today. So if you have any questions about the tools, feel free to use the question mark. If you need to go to the restroom, okay, do not X out of the test completely. Just hit pause. Hit pause. It's going to say, yes, you have until the end of the day. You hit yes. Now, to come back to the test, you're going to need the code that the teacher will give to you. So that's how you can pause and go to the restroom if need be, or there's an emergency or you need to go to the nurse. That's how you would do it. Another tool we have here are the 3 little lines. You can click on there. Again, more tutorials. If you click on there, there's more tutorials. How to use or how to take the test. So there's plenty of information in case you still have questions about the tools. Let's say I'm working on this question and I'm not really sure. Do not take too long on one question. Just what you can do is mark it for review. It's like a flag or a check mark or a little sticky note. It's like a little flag. Click mark for review. What happens is it adds a little flag here. If we go to our items box, we'll also see the flag there. So when we're done with the test, if I see any flag, it's to remind you that you need to go back to that question to pick an answer. So once you picked an answer, you can remove the flag and the flag goes away. So that's what that tool is about. Another place, you have the notepad to type up any notes. You also have sticky notes. Within the test, you can also write notes. And remember, very important, save and close. So you save and close. Okay? And then now the highlighted section. How do I use that? For me to use the highlight section, I have to highlight. So I need to click on a word, drag my mouse, let it go, and then I go back to my highlight and I can pick a color and it will highlight. You can highlight like details or important words you want to make sure you remember. So that is there for highlighting. And that is basically the tools you would be using around the toolbar on your screen. Let's go ahead and try some listening questions and what they would look like and what are some tips. All right, so you're going to see here a play bar. When I hit play, I'm sorry for the kind of, you'll hear like some background double note recording. But when you see the play button, here play, hit play.
Click on the two animals with spots on their bodies.
And you can keep hitting it over and over and over. So it says, listen to the audio and follow the directions. So the directions say,
click on the
so I'm going to click on, but what am I clicking on?
two animals with spots on their bodies.
And they even gave me a hint. There's two animals with spots on their bodies.
The two animals with spots on their bodies.
So I could open my notepad. I could and put, oh, two spots on their bodies. I could do that, save or close. I could put it here, sticky notes. There are two animals with spots, not sports, on their bodies. Could do that. Definitely I could do that. Not two spots, two animals. With spots on their bodies. Okay, I could do that. You don't need to do it. You could do it with paper and pencil. Or maybe you're like, no, this is an easy question. All right. The hippopotamus does not have spots. The lion doesn't have spots. This cow has spots. I'm going to click. The elephant doesn't have spots. The giraffe has spots. I'm going to click. The water buffalo does not have spots. Okay, I feel comfortable with this question. So I would hit save and go next. If I did not feel comfortable with the question, then I could mark it for review to come back to it. I feel comfortable, so I'm going to hit save and move forward. As soon as I hit save, I can notice that my progress bar, like it's uploading, is moving closer to hopefully 100%. You're going to see 100% here when you're done. So I'm going to hit save, move to the next one. Let's go back to that item box. I noticed that number 1 no longer has the red triangle because I answered a question. So we're good. All right. Here's question number 2. It says to listen to the audio, choose the answer that best matches what you hear. So you can replay it, and replay it, and answer the best question. Now, these questions, here's a tip. Pay attention to what the question is saying. Let's listen to it.
Last week was very busy. On Sunday, we finally had time to relax. We wanted to have a movie night, so we decided to get takeout for dinner. Our meal was delivered, and we enjoyed our night in before another busy week ahead. Last week.
So I notice these pictures, there's a box, this is a box. Which one of these would describe what I just heard? If I wasn't sure, I would listen to the video again. I would make notes of the important information.
Was very busy. On Sunday, we finally had time to relax. We wanted to have a movie night, so we decided to get takeout for dinner. Our meal was delivered, and we enjoyed our night in before another busy week ahead.
I'm looking at my notes, and I noticed that they mentioned movie night, takeout, meal. Movie night, takeout, and meal. First of all, meal, we have a meal at school every day. With another word for meal, if you didn't know what that was, you can look it up in your Nope, you will not have a bilingual dictionary. But a meal, also a hint for Telpas, you were not allowed to have a bilingual dictionary. Okay, because they're testing your language comprehension, what you can speak and read. So that's a tip. But you kids, a meal is food. It's movie night, take out. And you're like, take out, like take it out. So which one of this shows a meal where you were relaxing, about to watch a movie? Does this show me, this one, they are taking something out. Somebody's taking, like delivering it. But does this have food or a meal? No. This one is just a box. Do you think this has anything to do with watching a movie, food, relaxing? No. I do see food here. Does it look like I'm about to relax? Look at this picture here. They're on the sofa. They're relaxing. They have food. Could takeout mean like food that they took out from like a restaurant and they delivered it? My answer is D. So pay attention, listen to the video more than one time, write down key details that will kind of help you pick the right answer. That is my tip for listening. So I would hit save and move on. Notice that this is a longer video. There's no questions. This is where you would listen possibly to a story or an informational video. And you're going to be, again, getting ready to write notes that would help you. Here's a tip. If it's fiction or if it's a story, pay attention to 5. Here are the give me 5s. Pay attention to character. Who are the main characters? Where's the setting? Where is it taking place? The location. What is the problem? How is it solved? Who helps them? How does the story end? Maybe a life lesson. That is your 5 notes for fiction, for a story. For nonfiction, forgive me, 5. In the middle, what is it talking about? What is the main idea here? What is it specifically talking about? And give me details that would support that idea. Okay? So on an unexpected rainy day, I'm thinking this is a fiction story. I would listen to it. Here's a play button.
Rain tapped at the windows and
It's a story. I need to pay attention to the details. Another tip, I'm going to give you many tips. Do not try to copy every single thing from the story. You're going to run out of time. So what you need to copy down, like if it's a story, character, setting, problem, solution. Okay? If it's main idea, write your notes that your teacher taught you how to do. The main idea table. Main idea, detail, detail, detail. Or if it's character, setting, problem, solution. Character, setting, problem, solution, or the main idea table. Okay, write those down, fill them out to help you with the story. Do not try to copy every single word. You're gonna run out of time. You can go forward here, you can go backward here on a video, and you can hit play. There's no question here, so I'm gonna hit next. There's nothing to save. Here's a question number 3. I also see my tools here, mark for review, sticky notes, strike out. Here's a new tool. I will explain how you can use it. Here's the part, the play button, that will read the question and answer for you. So make sure you play it.
What is the main reason Garrett takes Samuel to Aunt Rose's? To help calm him down. To bake bread together.
So you notice, it will read question and answer. How would I use the highlighting tool? This is where I'm like, what is the question asking me? Oh, it's asking me for the main reason Garrett takes Samuel to Aunt Rosa's. Why? So I'm looking for the reason. The reason. I'm looking for a reason. Why does he take him? So as I'm listening to the video again, now it's not going to do the whole video. It's only going to give me that little part of the video. I can hit play and pay attention to why he took Garrett takes Samuel to Aunt Rosa. So I can listen and find my answer. for the sake of time, I know this video is getting long, we're going to pick one. Let's pretend it was for that. Or, I don't know, whichever it is. And then now, let's say I'm like, to calm him down. No, it has nothing to do with calm him down. I can go back to my tools and hit strike through. What that does, it strikes through that question. Notice there's a line now going through it. I can strike through the questions. The line's like, no, it's not that one. It is not that one. It is this one, to give him more space. And then I click back to the tool, and now it lets me pick the answer. It's this one. Okay, so the strike through button, when I click on it, it makes it where I can scratch out the ones that are not it. And then when I'm ready to pick one, I pick it. I feel comfortable with this one. I'm going to hit save and move on. Here's question 4. I'm going to, same way. Let's say when Garrett asks about using a bread machine, how does Aunt Rosa respond? So using a bread machine, I'm going to use my highlighter. Boop. What does Aunt Rosa say? Yeah, so I'm going to listen to the video thinking about what Aunt Rosa says about using a bread machine. Okay, now when I want to go ahead and strike through questions like, oh, I know it's not that one. Notice I went to my tools. I hit strike through. I click the ones that can't be it. Then I say it's this one. And I pick it, I hit save, and I move on. Okay? And you keep going. Now let's say I just want to skip through. It's going to say, hey, you're skipping over a question. So make sure you're answering all your questions. I'm going to do it for the sake of time. We're going to move forward. Okay? Here goes another story, or another part of the story. An unexpected rainy day. I could make the video bigger and just focus on the video. Maybe use my notes, a character setting, problem solution, and listen. Or I could still do my notes and look at my question. Okay, so make sure you highlight what is it looking for. Summary. Give me 5. Somebody wanted, but so then maybe it might be a strategy your teacher taught you. Character, setting, problem, solution. How does it end? Wrap it up. That could be a summary, so you could highlight it and go through your answer choices. Okay, take your time. You can do this. Here I noticed that it's question 6, but there's another question that goes through this video. There's question 7. So make sure you pick an answer, save it, click to the next question, 7. And now it's going to ask you, ooh, I'm glad we've moved on. Those who are listening, here's a speaking question. So here comes my tips for speaking. How do I know it's a speaking question? Because I have a microphone available that I can, if you hover over it, it turns blue and it means, hey, you can start recording. Here's some things about recording. You get 2 chances to record, only 2. Here are the tips. Before you start recording, make sure you understand the question. They will read the question to you.
Describe how Garrett feels at the beginning of the story. Then explain how his feelings change toward the end of the story.
So what do I need to highlight here? How Garrett feels. Oops, I'm doing the wrong. How Garrett feels. I would highlight that. We're talking about his feeling at the beginning of the story. And explain how his feelings change. So there's a change. Highlight change. Any color, I don't care. At the end of the story. So we're not talking about problem solution. We're just talking how the character, Garrett, changes his feelings. I'm going to listen to the story, and I'm going to say at the beginning first, and then last, how was he feeling? Was he happy? And I'm going to give evidence. And then later, at the end, he was feeling. Now, I'm not going to do this. Notice, it says I have 90 seconds. For you to get all the points, you need to use as much as 90 seconds as possible. Try to do 80 seconds or more. So if I just say this, at the beginning of the story, Gary feels happy. At the end of the story, he feels sad. That was like 5 seconds. Do you think I will get all my points for speaking? No. How can we extend it? If he was happy at the beginning of the story, I need to give examples why. He was happy when, also when, maybe 2 to 3 examples. Why was he happy? And then what caused that change? At the end, Garrett was sad because, and just keep adding, and you just keep talking, okay? So I'm going to use that as an example, okay? Let me show you the 2 ways you record. Okay, so I would hit here. You see a click here, not hit, I'm sorry. Click on the microphone. I'm gonna click, boop. It's ready for me to start recording. Tip number 1, make sure you understand the question, and before you start recording, you have written your answer, and make sure you answer the question. They're asking how Garrett feels at the beginning and at the end. So I need to make sure that I wrote down how he felt at the beginning, at the end, with a lot of evidence, okay? So I'm still recording. I notice I have 60 seconds. I have not done don't fill the time with ums. Also, do not fill the time with space. You need to say something. So here would be a bad example. A bad example would be Garrett feels happy, then he changes to sad. That was 2 seconds. You're not going to get points. But if you try this, at the beginning of the story, Garrett was feeling happy. He was happy because, and then you give it a whole bunch of details, okay? Later, Garrett was feeling, or at the end of the story, Garrett was feeling sad because, and you keep going. The point of speaking is for you to fill up as much as possible and keep talking until your time runs out, and make sure you answer the question completely. All right. So, we almost used all 90 seconds there. Now, I did give you examples of what is not a good speaking response and what is a good speaking response. Your goal is to talk as much as possible. You do not need to rush. Take your time, speak clearly. Now, okay, what do I do next? Before I hit save and move on, you need to check your recording. Now, how do I check my recording? You see how there's a green play button? I can listen to my recording. I also notice that I had 1 second remaining, and I still have one more chance. If I don't like my recording, I can practice before I hit play. And what else could I add? What other detail? What other example? Or does this remind you of something that happened in your life? There's so much you could add to it, okay? Just remember to answer your question first. Don't go off into a tangent and not answer your question. So let's listen. It's ready for me to start recording. Tip number 1, make sure you understand. And that's how you would just listen to your whole recording. If you love your recording, hit save and move next. If you don't like your recording, you're like, oh my God, I still have 20 seconds left. Think before you start hitting record, what could you do? Okay, so what other information could you add? So I have some little tip charts here, things that you could add to add extra to your speaking part. Maybe share a personal experience. What does this remind you? A memory. This reminds me of the time, like maybe Garrett was happy because he got his favorite toy for a gift for Christmas. This reminds me of the time, and talk about your Christmas. And then there was a change. Later at the end of the story, Garrett was sad because somebody broke his toy. This reminded me of when my sister broke my toy or something like that. You can also say something like, if I was Garrett at the end though, I was, just keep adding to it. So you could share a memory. You could give your opinion. You could tell me how you would have done it differently. Maybe if you still have 20 seconds left, you could say, you know, Garrett was happy at the beginning, give evidence. And then later at the end of the story, he's sad, and then you give evidence. And then you could say something like, if this was me, if I was Garrett, I would have, and you could add more. You could fill up 20 seconds with how you could have done it differently, or a memory, or give your opinion. So these are just examples of how you could stretch it out and fill up those 90 seconds. And here's the stems. This reminds me of a time, or if I were Garrett, I would change, or I would do, okay? Those are just some examples. So that would fill up your 90 seconds. If you love it, you hit save and move on. Here's another speaking question. So again, now this one is 45 seconds. So it's not 90 seconds. Still, the same tips apply. Make sure you understand the question. Here's the question. Imagine that you and a friend want to go to see a movie. So I'm going to a movie. I would highlight movie. What would you say to convince an adult in your family to take you to the theater? You know how you ask your mom and dad, Mom, Dad, take me to the movies? What are you going to say to convince them to take you to the movies? So I would say you're trying to convince somebody, make someone cause change or take action. Maybe I would tell my parents, hey, I will wash the dishes without you telling me for a whole week. I'll go take out the trash without you telling me. I will, I don't know, think chores around the house, or I will make hundreds on my next spelling test. Whatever it is, but you have 45 seconds. This is something I do not want you to do. Let's say you just read it and then you just start recording. This is not a good example. Imagine you're in the movie. What would you say to convince someone to do? Okay. All right. If I went to the movies, I would tell my mom, hey, let's go. Can you take me to the movie? She said no. Okay. Okay. I barely, 37, 38, 39, 44, 42, 54. I barely used 8 seconds. Okay. I need 45 seconds and I only did 8 seconds. Not good. You're not going to get points. You only have one more chance. One more chance. Let's say I wrote it down. I practiced. I'm ready. I feel good. I can fill up 45 seconds. I'm going to keep talking until everything is gone. Here we go. Yes. Okay, yes. If I was trying to convince my mom or dad to take me to the movies with my friend, I would say, hey, Mom, I messed that up. Let me try again. I see a lot of students raise their hand and tell Miss Pereira, it won't let me record. It won't let you record because you only had one more attempt and you feel like you messed up and you're like, I want to do it again. Don't hit stop. Keep going. It's okay if you make a mistake. Say, okay. If I was trying to go to the movies and then I would tell my parents, and you keep it going. Don't get worried. Don't panic. Just read what you wrote, okay? Because if you only had one left and you hit stop, it's grayed out. It won't let me record again. So tip number 1 for speaking, before you hit record, write it down. Practice. Whisper. Say it. Or I like to do this. I like to cover my ears and just say it in my mind really softly. And I can hear myself. Okay? Write it down before you do that. It's going to help you. I promise. Do not panic. And that's how you do your speaking. So just some tips I think we have here I want to show you before we move on. If it's listening steps, you're listening for details. So you're going to watch a video. You're going to listen to the questions. What is it asking you? Okay. Make sure to take notes. Either you're typing your notes or you're asking for paper and pencil. Listen to the question. Hit play more than one time so you can listen. If it's one of those long stories and it's a question, listen to the little video, that little part. Listen to the video again, looking for the answer to that question. When you feel confident, click on the answer, hit save, and go to next. For the speaking, here's some tips for the speaking. Listen to the question. Listen to it more than one time. Highlight the important information you need to know. Write down. Practice writing down what you're going to be saying. When you are recording, speak loudly, clearly, and don't rush. No. Do it. And also, don't whisper. We have a lot of students, when they have those headsets, they want to just, and maybe they had great writing, but they're going to get a 0 because the computer could not hear them, or it wasn't clearly stated. So take your time, like Ms. Pereira's talking, talk slowly, make sure you answer the question, make sure that you understand what you're saying, and you should be fine. You record yourself, you listen to your recording. If you like it, if you answered the question and you gave a lot of detail, then hit save and move on. If you feel, I have 20 seconds left, I need to add more extra detail, remember the tips. Personal connection. What would you do if you were in that situation? What is your opinion? You can add extra after you've answered your question. So make sure you do that. Before you re-record, because you only get 2 chances, write those details down. Practice saying it before you record it, because remember, you only have 1 more chance. Record it, listen to yourself, save, and move on. Do not panic. While you're in the middle of a recording, and you're like, no, and then you hit, because you might be on your last opportunity. So practice before you hit record. When you feel comfortable, hit save and move on. All right, guys, I think this is all we have for today. These are the tools that we have for Telpas. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask your teachers, and they will help you with it. Good luck.